Welcome to Type C Tech Reviews. Today we're going to be unboxing the INNOCN 27M2U. If at any point during the video you want to check out this exact same monitor, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. But let's get this thing unboxed. This is 27 inches, 4K, mini LED lit, IPS panel, local dimming zones, I think so. Not sure yet, but this is going to be a very fun video to do. All right, we're gonna unbox this, we're gonna set it up, we're gonna do an initial impressions, it's gonna be good. All right, so right away, we have a stand. I'm expecting this to be similar to INNOCN's other stand, as they are a smaller up-and-coming company that is looking very promising, and yeah, very similar. Metal inside, premium silver exterior looking. This is plastic. But it does look, I mean, it looks very premium. We do then look like we have rotation, tilt, and swivel, all built into a clip and stand. This is, I mean, yeah, very good. On par with the heavy hitters from LG. Very good stand. All right, now we have the power brick, which is fairly large, as you would expect from a 4K 27-inch mini LED lit. And then here's the other side of that power cord. We then have a display port and an HDMI. I expect that to be 2.1, but maybe not. Then we have the color calibration report, which is very cool. These come calibrated. That's one of the things that INNOCN does, is almost all their monitors are pre-calibrated from the factory, and they're actually done quite well. Then we have the bottom of the stand underneath. This actually feels fairly light, lighter than I expected. All of this, I think it's a thin piece of metal, but overall not too heavy. Yeah, this is metal, but it's pretty thin. It looks premium, but I was expecting a little bit more of a hefty monitor, but let's put it together. This side is definitely pretty heavy. Line it up right there and then just screw it in. This is a high quality thumb screw. All you're gonna need to do is just use your hands. And there we go. So that's the stand. It looks pretty nice. This is definitely on the cheaper side. Like the base of the stand doesn't feel on par with higher end monitors, but this part does. So that's a little bit strange, but not a big deal. All right, and then removing it, getting to the monitor itself, there is the panel. And you can see when this is standing by itself, it fell over. Now it's on a carpet, but you see it's not very supported on the front. So I do wish this was a little bit heavier on the bottom, but not too big of a deal. When the panel's on there, it probably won't be a big deal. We're just gonna rip this open. Oh, it can kind of come down. Yeah, we can install it this way. So we're gonna line up the top, or is that the bottom? This is the bottom. So we're gonna line up the top right here, line up those clips and kind of press it in. It needs a little bit of work on the design for setting it up, but not too big of a deal. Pulling this up, and we got a lot of things going on here. Okay, so INNOCN is very cool because they're not one of those established brands, and they're doing some funky stuff, and I like it. Look at these, I think this is a heatsink up here, or room for airflow. We have all of this airflow going inside the monitor in this incredibly cool plastic molding along the sides and the top. So unique, I have not seen that. This looks like a gaming monitor, but I don't think that it is. Although today we're gonna test it for the heck of it, because I kinda want to. Up here we have what looks to be maybe a sensor or an LED. That could potentially be an ambient light sensor, I'm not sure. Then it looks like we have some LEDs, RGBs right there. Four corners, looks like we have some more right here. So there's quite a bit of RGB. It does seem kind of gamery. More than work oriented, but I don't think this is high refresh rate. All right, and then looking down at the ports that are down here, we have an HDMI, two HDMIs, a display port, a USB Type-C with, get this, 90 watts of charging. And I believe this is around 900 bucks. And then we have an audio out and then your power in. So no USB ports on this. It doesn't look like, unless around the edges, which I don't think it is. All right, let's get this set up on the desk. Before we do that, let's try out the stand really quick. We're gonna test, yeah, I mean, this is pretty dang stable. Just wish this was a little bit heavier. Tilt, very nice. Height, not the smoothest in the world, but it definitely does its job. Swivel, very nice. But you can see here, look at this. When you're kind of moving it, you see that it kind of moves a little bit. This stand needs to be a little bit heavier. And then we've got tilt, again, a lot of tilt. And then full rotation, which is very awesome. That is so cool. All right, we're gonna get this set up on the desk. We're gonna do initial impressions, go through it, and then we're gonna do a gaming test, because why not? All right, let's get to it. All right, guys, here on the desk, it looks very unique. I really like the way it looks. Also, a cool thing to note is this does rotate vertical both ways, both if you want it to go this way or that way. All right, let's turn it on. We do have that same menu system on the other INNOCN, kind of bad. That's the on button. You can see the cable management under here is not very good. The ports are really too close down here, and they always get in the way right here. All right, so we're gonna choose our language, which is, nope, didn't wanna do that. Okay, I accidentally put it in Arabic, so that's not good. All right, so I used my other INNOCN monitor to find out where the language settings are. So we're gonna go in here and redo this a little bit. Yeah, so we're gonna go in here and it should be right there. So let's go back up to English. All right, now it is in English. Let's keep going through the menu system right here. This is really not my favorite menu system. It is not the worst that I've used, but this button system is just not good. So we're gonna go up here to professional, and we're gonna go in here standard mode, sRGB mode. That's very cool that they have that. Adobe mode, DCI-P3 mode. So this is definitely very like color, more professional centered monitor. Definitely more of like someone who's gonna be working in Premiere, Photoshop, stuff like that a lot, which is very cool being a creator. So we're gonna go over and leave it in standard mode. And then we're gonna go into brightness, which is at 20%. Now this has HDR 1000 rating, so let's go all the way up here. We're gonna turn it all the way up to 100%. That looks absolutely beautiful. So we're gonna go out here and we're just gonna keep going through this. Contextual mode in the last one made it even brighter before when you would go into it, and that definitely does. I mean, it's super saturated, but yeah, we're just gonna leave the contextual mode off right now. Again, there's a lot of weird settings with the INNOCN monitors. The menu system may be one of the most confusing I've ever used. That'll all be in the full review, but this does have HDR. Let's see what the max refresh rate is. Okay, so the max refresh rate is 60 Hertz. Would have liked to see 72, but updated price, we did check it between the two clips, $700. That is an incredibly good price, especially for something that's pre-calibrated, should be very accurate. That'll be tested in the full review. Let's go into NVIDIA control panel here, running native resolution at 60 Hertz. We can output 10 bits of color. That's great. You can't output 12 bits of color, but obviously this is probably more centered to content creation or just having a fantastic, beautiful daily driver for a monitor, not necessarily like gaming in HDR or something like that. But again, 12 bits of color would be nice for Dolby Vision if you were watching something like a movie. So you can output 10 bits of color, and let's continue going through the menu system a little bit more. So the picture settings, everything is very complicated. This does still have a game mode, and in game mode, you have local dimming. And this is mini LED lit. I don't know exactly how many zones that'll be in the full review, but we're gonna turn local dimming on. It did slightly change the display. It brought it down a little bit. We'd also have ambient lighting on, which should be those LEDs back there. Let's see if they are on. I'm gonna tell you right now, they don't glow enough to show anything, so that's just a gimmick. Those are not bright enough, so we'll go back down here into game setting. Interesting that local dimming is in gaming settings. We have a bunch of different stuff, so yeah, so a bunch of different stuff there. Interesting the local dimming is in there. I would have thought that it should be in picture settings, but you know, that's what it is. Then we have picture in picture, picture by picture. That's pretty self-explanatory. And then this is where you can kind of adjust what comes up first. And then just your other main settings. This does have a light sensor. You know I hate those, but if you're just using this for everyday tasks, you may like it. But does this have speakers? Let's test that out. Okay, so it does have speakers. They don't sound the best just from hearing that, but probably not too bad. They don't sound terribly trebly, but we can go down into other settings and turn the volume all the way up. This menu system is a little bit to get used to, but once the volume is all the way up, rattles a little bit, but it's fairly loud. But again, check the full review. Let's get into gaming and see how this thing games. Before we do that, we're actually gonna go on a black screen and see if we can see the local dimming zones. Now we can see right away, if you can even see the mouse, this local dimming system is definitely more conservative. Even though I'm moving it, it's keeping those local dimming zones dark. So you do need a brighter area for that to actually engage that zone, if that makes sense. So if we have this dim area and then this, it's going to, I mean, you can kind of see the local dimming zones, but it's full array local dimming. I believe it looks like it is. So the dimming zones are gonna come on around here. This system, I'm expecting to be significantly better than the black technology, the IPS black technology from LG that I think Dell was the only one to implement so far. But that technology was okay. It wasn't even close to as good as VA panels, but this mini LED lit with full array local dimming could be the answer for all future IPS panels. This is very exciting. We have some other gaming monitors that we're gonna be reviewing with mini LED lit gaming monitors, full array local dimming, and their IPS panels. That's probably the most exciting thing. Because of that, we're gonna go in HDR with an HDR 1000 rating, and we're gonna go in some Battlefield, test it out. That game will really show off full array local dimming as well as HDR at the same time. Let's do it. All right, guys, hopping in game. The colors look absolutely beautiful. The input lag is a little bit high. I can already feel that the input lag is a little bit higher, or maybe quite a bit higher than maybe I'm used to. So that's not quite as good as I wanted. this does feel like I'm on ice a little bit because it is definitely higher. The other thing I can tell you is just from right away, the HDR, not the greatest out there. It definitely dims the display more than SDR will. So I expect that you probably won't be using HDR most of the time with this, which is kind of a letdown because of that HDR 1000 rating. However, that's just going to be highlights, and it may not even fully reach that. It may just be a little bit over, maybe a little bit more of an exaggeration. So to keep going, we're actually gonna switch HDR off, but we're gonna keep local dimming on. Okay, so now with HDR off, but local dimming still on, still an absolutely beautiful image. The colors are very vibrant, but don't look overly saturated. They look accurate. Which is awesome. We're gonna go to some more contrasty areas of the screen, but you can see the down here, very dark. I don't know how many zones this is, and it's very difficult to kind of look at local dimming, but I mean, I just came from a VA panel, and this looks really, really dark, which is cool. You can see in these corners, that looks really dark. So I think the local dimming is doing its job well. We'll go inside right here. I mean, that looks very dark. However, right away from doing this, and I don't know this for sure, again, it'll be in the full review, it's a very complicated menu system, but it doesn't seem that there are different settings for the local dimming, which could be a good thing if it's tuned well and a bad thing if it's not. So we'll definitely have to see about that. I can tell you right away, this could definitely be used for gaming because it's absolutely stunning, but it's definitely not a gaming monitor. The input lag is quite high. So if we're doing normal stuff like video editing and stuff, that's where this thing is going to absolutely rock. And then probably definitely watching movies, Netflix and YouTube, stuff like that's going to be absolutely perfect. Probably would not say it's the best gaming monitor out there. However, the funny thing with this monitor is it is styled kind of like a gaming monitor, which may turn some people off. Like the RGBs on the back, I'm not sure exactly why they're there. However, we're gonna pull up a contrast ratio test right here, and it's very hard to tell the difference, honestly. And I don't know how many zones, so I don't know how much is actually going to be affected, but all of that will be in the full review. Right away, this thing is awesome for 700 bucks. And from what you're getting out, it looks like you couldn't really go wrong for the price point, but you never know. If it fails in a lot of things, like the accuracy isn't actually that good and the color gamut doesn't actually hold up, and the mini LEDs is not actually that many zones, then it might be a bad deal. But from right now, I'm not seeing that happening, but this is gonna be an exciting one to review. All right, this was Type-C Tech Reviews. If you wanna check it out, there are Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. But this was Type-C Tech Reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next video.